Welcome to Iconic TV. I am your host, Dr. Connie Scavella. I am thrilled that you are here, and we are going to show you something that is going to magnify your business because we are going to set your brand on fire today. And I want to have you really think about this. This is really important because a lot of people don't think about their business as a brand. They're like, I have this business and I do this thing. But you need to take it away from this commonality and turn it into an iconic brand, something that people look at and they know, oh, that's what they do. If I want this, I'm going to go to that company, right? We think about that when we think about cars. People are brands. People have a personal brand. And you should build a brand for you and your business, right? Both of them need to be a brand if you want to stand out in a very heavily AI influenced world. So this is what we're going to be talking about today. And we are going to show you how you are going to be able to build the new way of building a brand. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to get rid of the old way. We're going to show you how to build a new brand in a disruptive world, because that is exactly what we're going through. Lots and lots of disruption. And guess what? For some of you, that may mean that your work, your job, your way of doing business is going to disappear. And I always want you to think about that the money is made in the meltdown. And if you are facing a disruption in your industry, in your business, look at it as a good thing, because that's just a sign it's time to pivot. It's time to move forward faster. And that's what we're always here to do, to show you how to do. We're going to show you how to scale your business. If you're making 6 figures in net profits, let's take you to 7 figures in 1 year or less, without the stress and the struggle and the overwhelm, and do it in a way that you love your business and that it lasts. So let's go ahead and get started on what we're talking about today. And let's take a look at the agenda. 4 things that we want to cover today. Number 1, we're going to look at, why are you invisible? Why can nobody see you? It feels like you're doing all of this work and yet you're invisible to the world. You're not making enough money, getting enough clients, closing enough deals to make it worthwhile. We're going to flip all of that around. Then I'm going to show you the wall of shame, what you do not want to do with your brand. And if you're doing these mistakes, you got to change it right away, like tonight. And the 4 brand optimizers. What are the 4 things that you need to really look at when you're building your brand? And of course, I'm going to give you the 3 new brand rules. In this new era of branding, there are 3 rules that I'm going to show you tonight, how you want to change the way you look at it. And it's really simple. Just stick around for that. Of course, I have several gifts for you today that you are absolutely going to love. And again, the power of the brand is so important. You can't go out and market your business or yourself or expect to have long-lasting clients if you haven't built your brand properly. And we're going to discuss those 3 pillars of your brand and how you do it. At the very end, I'm going to give you a framework that you can use every single day for your entire brand and any products that you are going to be working with. So this is going to be fun. I love this. Hey, this is the reason why we are called the Iconic Brands. And if you need help with your brand, if you're like, I can't figure out what I'm supposed to do. I don't know if this is right. Should I pivot? Should I change this? Should I copy what everyone else is doing? Maybe you have a secret desire in your heart to really pull something completely new out. That's what we want to talk about. Why not? This is the time, because everything is changing. So it's a fun lineup today. And let's make sure that you get the freebie. Okay, this is the freebie I have. You can download it right now. I'll come back and show this a couple times. You can get it. There's a link. You can copy the QR code. You can type freebie down below and we will send it to you. But this is how you're going to craft the perfect brand for your business, because you do need this whole story around your brand. We're going to show you how to do it. So why is it that your brand feels invisible? Right? You're working hard, but nobody sees it. Now, we can blame the algorithms a little bit. just a little bit, okay? But not for everything, right? A lot of the responsibility always has to fall back on us. And this is one of the things, right? This is your business. This is your brand. You are the leader of this. And what's the one factor that is always necessary in leadership? And that's your character. And some people are shrinking back from being a leader to your business and to your brand, and you don't want to do that. You want to actually have your character come out and stand forth. That's what you want to do. You want to become the leader that others want to follow. So why is your brand so invisible? Well, most of it's not your fault. A little bit is, you got some algorithm things, but there is a lot of chaos right now. The digital landscape is very chaotic. Everybody's looking over their shoulder and trying to see what's everybody else doing. Why is it working for you? Maybe not for me. It's crazy. And there is nobody who has a definitive answer, because you see new things, new fads, this just came up all the time. And every third day, there's a new AI platform or one that's existing that has added another layer and another layer. So it's very confusing, lots of chaos. And then as a result of that, as we're trying to learn and just, paddle as quickly as we can, is just information overload. We can't handle it all and learn it all, then implement it all, and then iterate, and then change and, do it all again. It's hard, okay? And of course, you cannot do this by yourself. So don't even try, especially if you're going for a 7-figure business, which is what we focus on. So if you really want to know, how do I do this? And you want to know, like this week, like, look at my brand. Tell me if this is a yay or a nay. Tell me if it's sink or swim. What should I do with my brand? That's what we're here for. You can book a 10-minute call, get the absolute clarity that you need so you can move forward on the next step of your business. Absolutely free. I can't sell you anything in 10 minutes, and you will be talking with me directly. So go to callconnie.com, find a spot that's on my calendar. I only do these calls a couple days in a week, and I would love to talk to you. I would love to see your brand and figure out what's going on. Is this going to be $1 million unicorn brand, or is it something that you're going to have to shelve and start all over? That's what we want to figure out. And if we really look at it, we have to first look at that. Why don't businesses make it? And I really think there's some critical factors to it. Brand is definitely one of them. And money is another one, right? So much of why a business fails is they are undercapitalized. Why are they undercapitalized? Because they're not selling. And if you're not selling, that means people aren't buying your brand. So look at the stats. Where are you in their business life cycle? So 80% of businesses will survive the first year. That's nice. Okay. But then we come down to 70% will survive through the third year in business. 50% will survive then the 5th year in business. That's only half. Okay. You got to look left or right. Someone's gone. And then only 30% make it to 10 years. But you want to know what's really even more interesting about that is that of those that really survive, do you know that only 4% are making $1 million in their business? There's a lot of small businesses. And my impetus for being here is to get you to move faster, finish stronger, build an amazing business. And I want to ask you this question today is, how big could your business be if you had no limitations? There was nothing stopping you. Think about that for a minute. How big could your business be if you didn't have any holdbacks? There was no blockage. It's not the AI. It's not the algorithm. It's not the teams. It's not the competition. 0 blocks, 0. Nothing could stop you. What would you make in a year? What would you make in the second half of this year if there was absolutely nothing stopping you? So then you got to say, well, why am I not doing it? Why didn't I do it last year, the year before, the year before? I'll tell you as we go along. And if you want to know, like, if I had no limits, I could lay out a plan for you, a strategic plan, 4 simple steps, and take you to $1 million in a year. Super simple. Okay. So let me know if that's something that you want. And let's look at this. What is going on? Like, Why is it so hard for some people to make this money? Is because the rules have changed. A lot of people don't even realize, oh my gosh, what I was doing before, you're trying harder on the same thing and all the rules are different. And you can't play chess on a checkers board, right? It's a different rule set now. It looks like it's the same landscape, but it's not. It's completely different. And if you don't adjust, you won't be around. The traditional reasons that branding fails are these things that everybody thinks, oh, I got to get my logo. Oh, I got to get my website. Those are the first two things people say. Hey, I just started my company. I'm like, great, let's look at your plan. Like, no, I'm still working on my logo. I'm working on my website. Oh my gosh, that's not right. Or they'll hire people instantly to do all their advertising and marketing, but those aren't strategic business people. Have they ever run a business? And if they haven't run, okay? So forget about the logos. Forget about, oh, what's your tagline? I got to get something like just do it. That's not going to make a difference right now. Little secret, okay? And stop worrying about your colors. Is it navy blue or midnight blue? Which one do you think I should go with? These are just really silly things. People get hung up on this and they can't move forward. You have to move at an accelerated pace if you want to win. And that is the whole game. That's why we're in business. And it is a game. It's fun. It's simple and it's hard. Okay. So you have to be able to endure this like an athlete. So let's take a look at these. I'm dividing this out into these old way of doing branding and the new way. I want you to take a close look at this. And in the old way, this is what we did, and it worked. It worked beautifully, as a matter of fact. And so what happened here? Remember, it was all about making it look really pretty and professional. Wouldn't that be great? And being focused, like we talked about, on logos and fonts and colors. That's not necessary, right? Sure, you should do a brand guide and all that, but does it matter up front? No. Okay, I have an amazing client, and her whole brand is strictly black and white, minimalist, no color, no nothing. And it's a phenomenal business. So, so what are some other things that you have to look at in the old way is that the brand was the hero. It's all about the brand, right? This brand. I'm wearing this brand. It's not about that anymore. I'll show you what it is about. And the one size fits all messaging. I serve everybody and this will work for anybody. Nope, it doesn't. Even if you're one of these companies where you say, well, I just work with women or I just work with men, that's still a one size fits all messaging. Is not going to work anymore. And push marketing, you're just pushing in their face, trying to like, hey, go louder and louder and bigger. And, the whole bro marketing thing is so 2018, right? You want to get away from that. And consistency. And back then, consistency just meant doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over, just repeating it, and basically hitting people over the head with your brand. That's not what's happening today anymore. And brand used to be the visual identity. Sure, it works for the iconic legends and the swoosh of Nike. Yeah, that's still their thing. Okay. And if you have a visual brand, that's wonderful. But you have to have more than that. You need a lot of depth. Okay. Now, I'm never dismissing visual, very important. That's how the brain thinks. That's how it gets into action and motivation is by what's happening visually. But let's take a look at the new way of branding right now. And then we will look at what you definitely don't want to do. So here is the new way. And the new branding mindset is really quite clear. It's almost the exact opposite of what we just talked about. So you need to make it personal and emotionally resonant. People can really feel that and they align with you, and focused on positioning and values. Let people know what you stand for. Connect with them in all kinds of ways, online, offline, and not the brand who's the hero. It's the audience that is the hero. Okay. The brand is just the guide. And if you want to know more about that, go ahead and look at Joseph Campbell's his hero story. That's wonderful. So then you also want to look at tailored, story-driven, audience-centric content, pull marketing. You're not pushing, you're pulling. This is through clarity and trust. So you're magnetic to people. Then you're going to have consistency. So you have emotional alignment with your audience. And then your branding is more like a lived experience. It's like part of their lives. It has emotional impact. This is the new way. Does it feel a little maybe touchy-feely? Yeah, kind of. But that's what we want, right? People want connection. They want intimacy. And if you don't have a way to build intimacy into your brand, you're not going to stand out and you're not going to last long. Everyone is trying to automate things. So you can't take away the human to human connection in your brand. And if you feel like your brand isn't very human, then go do some work on it and get some consulting. Hook up with us and have a VIP day, and we can actually sit and do your whole branding and imagery in a day. So you can actually have something to, start off with. But the question is, what's your branding mindset? Which one are you? Are you still operating off of the old mindset, or have you transformed into the new one? So make a screenshot of that, capture that, and figure out, how do I do these steps in my business? Because it's going to make a difference like that. Get totally away from the old way and get into the new branding. This is how your business will grow really, really fast. Don't take it for granted. It's very, very important. So if we go forward, the thing that I want you to remember so far is that your brand isn't the hero, your audience is. How do you turn your audience into your brand? How well do you know your audience? Do you know what they think? Do you know what their problems are? Do you know what keeps them up at night? Do you know the outcome that they really want? I work in a consulting field, and a lot of people come to us for money, but that isn't what they really, really want. I know what they really, really want, and talking to them in just 5-10 minutes, and then you can get that. So really understand that the audience is the hero. How do you make them a hero? We always look at what can they identify with, and be really proud about being part of your association, your family, or your company, and let it feel like a family environment. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. So here's the next thing that's going wrong with brands is the attention crisis. And you can check on our YouTube channel, and you can see how we talked about this. And we talk about what Gary Vaynerchuk talked about, is like the whole new TikTokification, right? Everything is geared towards attracting based on what you're saying. Like, you don't have to be a huge brand with thousands and hundreds of thousands of followers or millions in order to make a significant dent in the marketplace. How are you grabbing their attention? And if you are not subscribed to our YouTube channel, come down here somewhere and subscribe. We started a new channel within this year, and I would love to have you on there. We come live every single Tuesday at 5 o'clock Pacific, and every week we're talking strategies and principles, not hacks and fads, things that will build an iconic business that will last. And that's really what you want, right? You don't want to be, I'm sorry, I don't think anybody wants to be stuck in a job. Or if you are in a job, then take these principles to your job so you can treat it as an intrapreneur, right? You sort of are running your own division or line in your company. So let's look at some of these things that are happening. This attention crisis is a big thing. And this is the harsh reality that I want you to understand here. And that is, people are exposed to 6,000 to 10,000 ads per day. That's a lot. You might think you watch a lot of TV, but there's ads everywhere. 6,000 to 10,000, whether it's just happening in a second or maybe it's 30 seconds. Look how much that consumes your day and your time. And guess what? Most of them are ignored in seconds. Think about that. When a commercial comes up or an ad comes up, don't you just kind of flip away or get distracted? And yet on the other side of it, are you trying to put out a whole bunch of ads and you're wondering why nobody pays attention? So that's the first harsh reality. The second harsh reality is that the average attention span has dropped. You've heard about this, less than a goldfish, right? So it's dropped 33% because we are so bombarded with ads and noise. We pay less attention. Our average attention span is 8 seconds, and it used to be 12 seconds in the year 2000. That's scary, right? What are we going to do with everything? And if the speed of AI and everything is going faster, I don't know, we have a 1 second attention span eventually. And 85% of online ads don't pass the 2.5 second memory threshold, meaning they're forgotten instantly. You can see an ad and then someone could say, okay, what was that ad about? I don't remember. Okay, same thing goes for websites. There's a 5 seconds sniff test. And if you go on a website, do you have any idea what that's about? Okay. Fourth harsh reality is that 31% of people say that social media ads capture their attention. That means 69% say, no, I'm not even paying attention. It's less than a third of the people. And why am I talking about this? It is important because if you're doing some of this marketing, whether it's paid or not, is anyone paying attention? This might be why you're feeling invisible, and yet you probably feel like you're working a lot harder. So how do you change that? Do you know if you can have just 5% more engagement with your ads and get people to stick or pay attention 5% more, you will have a 40% increase in your results and revenue. That's how important this is. That's why I say this is the thing. What is your stickiness factor? How long is your brand holding the attention of your audience? Or do they, just kind of dine and dash? They look and go. You want to be able to calculate how that happens. If you don't have a way to measure that, let me know and reach out to us. Go to callconnie.com and we'll show you how to measure that. And even how you can have heat maps on your website so you can see how far do the people's eyes go down on your ads and on your sites, so that you can know, are they getting all the information? You might make a really long website, but maybe people only go to the first quarter of it. So to be able to have these analysis and these tools, it will really help you out. And the other thing is the trust gap. People don't trust brands. They trust resonance. Does that align with me? Does it resonate? They're like, yeah, I get that, sort of like a vibe. Are you both on the same vibe, right? So what about you? Trust is so vital. I always say trust is love, okay? Whether it's in a relationship, right? If you break trust in a relationship, personal relationship, you probably lost some of the love you have for that person. And what you want people to do is fall in love with your brand. But if you're breaking trust and you're like, okay, and they go along with you, and then, you've disappointed them. It's really hard to get that back, right? It's really hard after that trust is broken to go back into that relationship. So let's take a look. This is going to be fun. Let's take a quick look at a couple examples of branding faux pas. These are not just faux pas, little slip ups. These are cataclysmic. I can say that. Huge, huge mistakes. Okay. Cataclysmic. That's the word. Okay. So, and these are some of the risks that break trust. You see, you want to be a little disruptive in your market. You don't want to disrupt your brand. This is a really harsh, hard mistake that two famous brands have done. Iconic brands, Budweiser. You guys might remember this. Dylan Mulvaney was selected as a trans spokesperson for one of the most blue-collar brands out there, Bud Light. A legend in beer. And I used to, when I was modeling and acting, I used to do Bud Light commercials, and they're awesome. But then they went in a whole different direction and ignored their whole brand. and they went and did something that nobody could resonate with. What happened? They lost over 30% of their customers almost overnight, because then it went viral in the wrong way. Everyone was talking about how awful that is. We used to run a racing company, and when we were in Daytona, and they had the kind of the trifecta, right? They had NASCAR, and they had the um, the Formula cars, and then our cars, and they were all racing. But the Formula cars and the NASCAR are two totally different audiences. The NASCAR was very much the Bud Light crowd, right? You would not put that kind of advertising out to that audience. And they didn't get it. They were completely out of touch. They were trying to tap into a 0.0001% of a worldwide market, and they blew it. And that year they lost over $1 billion in sales. $1 billion, not millions, not hundreds of millions, thousands of hundreds of millions, right? $1 billion. Another brand that completely blew it, that had an iconic brand, is the Jaguar. I used to have a Jag. I called her Kitty, and I love that car. However, the brand started changing and started getting less distinguished and more generic. You couldn't tell, and of course that was the who bought out the brand. You couldn't tell a Jag from a Ford, from a Toyota. It was really sad to watch it decline. And then this year they tried to do a whole rebrand of Jaguar. It was a complete fail instantly. Even the president talked about what a failure that brand was, what a disgrace it was. It was a very elite brand. It was something you would aspire to have someday. And in that shifting of their ads, they lost 98%, 97.5 to be exact, 97% of their sales. In 1 month, they only sold 49 cars, 49 Jaguars in the entire world. How bad is that? And they just completely lost their iconic brand status. Done, gone. Now there's a new company president. Hopefully they'll turn it around. But if I still had Kitty, my Jag, I probably wouldn't take it out of the garage after I saw that ad, if that's what they were trying to appeal to, right? They totally missed the mark. You can be disruptive, but don't disrupt your brand. I hope that message comes really clear. Okay. So if you want to be able to craft your perfect brand story, I would love for you to get the freebie that we have. Just download it for free, and it's like 18 pages of everything that you need to do. So if you don't want to have a call, go grab this. There's a link there. There's a QR code. I'll make that bigger for you guys so you can see it. And you really need to get that story right? Jaguar and Bud Light got the story all wrong, and it cost them billions. And you don't want that to happen to your brand. Okay. So as we tie this up, I want you to think about your brand. If you were to look at all of your competitors, let's just take 5 competitors. Do you know who your top 5 competitors are? How would you rank in terms of that love factor? Like, people like, oh yeah, that's the brand I'm going to go to, right? Is your brand at the top or down the bottom, or is it even in the top 5? Right? How would you rate your brand? If it's not where it needs to be, then you definitely want to book a call with us. Let's take a look at it. Here's the 4 things that you want to look at to fix your brand. Okay. So if you do want to fix your brand, these are the 4 things, okay, that you want to do. First, you have to look at, if you're kind of starting from scratch or rebranding, or maybe you just want to tighten it up a little bit based on where the markets are going. Look at the origin. Okay. What's the origin of you? What's your story? Why did you even start this? If there's not a real story behind why you started your business and your company, maybe it's not going to last. Maybe that's not really where you're passionate about. A lot of companies are started because there was a significant problem and somebody didn't like it. And they're like, I'm going to fix this. And then I'm going to fix it with your brand. We did the same thing with ours. Your messaging and the medium that you're using. Those are the origins that you want to look at. Then you want to look at the optics, your graphics, your packaging, your colors. Yeah, colors do matter. You don't want to have a color that doesn't suit your brand and your audience. And the shape, design is critical. Think about like Chanel. Okay, you can see a perfume bottle that's in that rectangle shape, and instantly that's a Chanel brand. Then you want to look at the location, the frequency, right? This is your output, your outlay. How are you getting all of this out there? The partnerships that you have, hopefully you'll build those, because that can be a third of your marketing budget and you don't have to spend any money on it. And accessibility. We talked about intimacy as well as proximity. How accessible are you to your audience? And then you want to look at your offers. So you take that brand, what is your offer? How much value can you build into it? Is it too complex? Just because something is very expensive doesn't mean it has to be really complex and have 47 different steps to it. How is the pricing? I recommend going for a premium brand. A high value brand will attract high value clients. What kind of support do you have that goes with your offer or guarantees, and what are the reviews of your brand? Those are the 4 O's that you want to focus on, and check off each one of those 4 steps to make sure that your brand is going to fly. And then we want to end with the 3 new rules of branding. This is how you want to look at it. So now you want to have positioning, right? How is your brand positioned? Put positioning above promotion, right? Don't just like, here's a sale, here's a discount, right? How are you positioned in the market? And how are you positioned in the life of your customer? Like, why you? Why now? They want to feel aligned with you, right? That's that resonance that we were talking about. And then you want to focus on emotion instead of information. Don't just say, these are my features and my benefits and blah, 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 blah. It doesn't work. How are you going to connect with them on an emotional level? Make them really feel tied to it. Think about Apple. It's an amazing example of a brand that is technology, but you never see them talk about the technology. They never bombard you with information or specs on what it is. It's a feel, it's a way of living, it's a community, right? Everybody says, oh, I want to be an Apple user, and they kind of look down on Android users or other PCs, right? Then the third part of the new rules is that you want to focus on connection over conversion. Of course, you want to convert, but you want to bond before they buy. How do you build that? How do you build that trust instead of breaking it and causing a gap in between you and your buyers? So those are the 3 new rules I want you to focus on: position, emotion, and connection. And when you look at that, that forms the ultimate cube. As you know, we always talk about the cube. Where's my cube? This is our brand, right? So we look at everything as a cube. Everything has 4s. We do everything in a 4-square methodology. And that way you stay balanced with your company the whole time. So what's your cube? How do you build a cube? These are the 4 steps, and this is the framework that you need to build to have an iconic brand. This is how we take companies from 6 to 7 figures. You have to be very distinguished. Remember, think about Jaguar, what a distinguished brand, but then they blew it because they didn't get disruption, right? So then you have to disrupt your market, not your brand. Don't disrupt your brand. You're going to have, a Budweiser size mistake. Then you want to dominate because you've then had a real clear message, who you are, why people would align with you. You're attracting the right clients, and now the cash flow starts coming in as you're dominating that market. And then you duplicate. You can have more brands. You can start going into different verticals, but you're going to be singularly focused on that one audience that is going to take you to the million and the next million and the next million. Don't try to aggregate everything all together. Stay singularly focused. That's what's going to give you the clarity and get you the results. And if this makes sense, I want you to also consider that you also have access to Tim, so that if you want to pick my brain and learn more about this stuff, Tim is the Iconic Mind. This is how you can master your mind and your business in just minutes. It's your own personalized AI mentor. We love AI, but you want to use it in the right way. It's not great at defining and building your brand and all of that. It can give you words, but the whole brand and the feel and the story's got to come from you. And so you can talk to Tim, get results-based feedback. You could talk to him every day, get a guide of where you're going. It's always at your fingertips. Finally, some good use for you to use your phone. And it can take 5 minutes a day just to keep you on track. So how does it work? You get the app. It's free, and I'll give you a link for it. Then you pick the path. What are you focused on right now? Just one path at a time. You can only drive, one person can drive a car at a time. So just, drive, be the driver, not the passenger. Talk to Tim every day. He's going to remember everything you said. It's not going out into the other platforms. It's personalized to you, and it won't be shared anywhere. And then you can start seeing the results. And so if you want to get it, to help you mind your business, to help you stay on track and think like an iconic leader, especially if you can't work with me directly, talk to Tim, right? It's my whole brain downloaded there. Just go to the Iconic Mind and you can have that. And of course, you can download the gift for today so you can craft a powerful brand story. So make sure that you have all of these, make sure that you subscribe, and of course, make sure that you come back next week because we are going to have some really cool things. We have the next 4 weeks all set out for you. Just remember, your brand isn't what you say, it's what they feel. Let that stick in your head for this week. That's the thing to remember. You're not the hero, the audience is the hero. So I would love to talk to you if you're ready to implement the new way to brand in a disruptive world. Give us 10 minutes together. We'll take a look at your brand, what you're trying to do, what you're trying to achieve, and I'll give you very honest feedback, if you can handle it, on whether it's going to make it or not. Okay, so you just go to callconnie.com, and in the meantime, be iconic and come back here next week at 5 p.m. Have a great day.